Africa. This continent which has suffered so much and which continues to suffer because of the imperialists. These imperialists have only one cliché in mind: Africa is the empire of slaves. This is how they see Africa. For them, Africans belong to them. Our land belongs to them. Our basements belong to them. They have never been able to change software until today. It's deplorable. But how does he do it? It is unfortunately since the 1960s that these 6,000 acres of independence were given to Africa. They just placed local valleys at the head, according to them, of their sub-prefecture to be able to continue to supply them. These local valleys that we are going to describe today as living room slaves have no other guide than to seek to live like the master, to satisfy the master, and to do everything that the master dictates. They steal, they plunder our states, take everything to the master, and their wealth is kept with the master. They do everything to live like their master and always satisfy him. When the master commands, they execute. Do you know who these parlor slaves are? We will explain to you what it is. These are individuals who have no dignity, who have no morals, who have no personality. But the slave master always knew how to identify these individuals. They are always ready to betray their brother.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing great, and it is always a pleasure to have you on the channel. So in this video, we're going to react on this speech by one Ibrahim Traore. And of course, I know by now, most of us know who Ibrahim Traore is. Ibrahim Traore is the head of state or the president of the African nation of Burkina Faso, who has really come to gain popularity, and not just popularity, but a lot of love from the black people, and not only the black people, but by extension, from the people that love good leadership. He is one that many of us, especially the young African generation, have come, to think of him as a gem in African leadership that we need to protect by any means. Now, here is a speech, and I would want us to listen to what he is saying in this speech. And at the end of the video, we are going to have an analysis of what he's talking about. So without giving you so much spoiler and without wasting much of your time, let's jump right into the speech and see you at the end of the video.
Comrades, members of the various SA governments, dear participants in the first sleep of SA heads of state, good morning. It was a great pleasure and an honor to be here today. A blessed date, a memorable date, July 6, 2024, here in Niamey. First of all, let us give thanks to God who made this day possible. We thank him for everything he has done for us until today, and everything he will do for the people of the AES. Please allow me also to pay tribute to the Nigerian people, these people who have suffered so much since the advent of the CNSP, and who continue to remain standing. Thank you to the Nigerians who gave us a warm welcome yesterday when we set foot on the soil of our homeland here. You are more than friends, you are more than neighbors, you are our brothers, you are our sisters. Because fraternity goes beyond friendship or neighborhood. We have the same blood flowing through our veins. In our veins runs the blood of these valiant warriors who fought and who reserved these lands that we call Mali, Burkina, and Niger. In our veins runs the blood of these valiant warriors who helped the whole world get rid of Nazism and many other scourges. In our veins runs the blood of these valiant warriors who were deported from Africa to Europe, America, Asia, or whatever, and who helped build these states during slavery. In our veins flows the blood of worthy men, of robust men, of capable men. And for this, let us be proud and thank you for being a national of the AES. Africa, This continent which has suffered so much and which continues to suffer because of the imperialists. These imperialists have only one cliché in mind: Africa is the empire of slaves. This is how they see Africa. For them, Africans belong to them. Our land belongs to them. Our basements belong to them. They have never been able to change software until today. It's deplorable. But how does he do it? It is unfortunately since the 1960s that these 6,000 acres of independence were given to Africa. They just placed local valleys at the head, according to them, of their sub-prefecture to be able to continue to supply them. These local valleys that we are going to describe today as living room slaves have no other guide than to seek to live like the master, to satisfy the master, and to do everything that the master dictates. They steal, they plunder our states, take everything to the master, and their wealth is kept with the master. They do everything to live like their master and always satisfy him. When the master commands, they execute. Do you know who these parlor slaves are? We will explain to you what it is. These are individuals who have no dignity, who have no morals, who have no personality. But the slave master always knew how to identify these individuals. They are always ready to betray their brother to satisfy the master. They have betrayed us since independence, and others continue to betray us until today for the benefit of their master. These individuals always continue against all odds to plunder Africa, to help the master to plunder Africa. They like to say it every year. In their economic survey, Burkina is the poorest country, Mali is the poorest country, Niger is the poorest country. We are ranked among the last. All right, if we are as poor as they say, but when the time came to take responsibility, we asked these masters to leave the place. Why don't they want to leave? Because we take the case of Niger. For more than 40 years, certain countries have exploited uranium to produce energy at home. From Ottawa to Paris, the streets are illuminated. It's light. But in Niger, it's darkness. Security that served us. When you go to our states, our soils are drilled all over to search for precious metals such as gold. But often, there is not even the slightest accessible road to reach areas where they exploit some basic social services. This is why we decided to revolt and take the destiny of our countries into our own hands. There are many other examples, but when we decided this, we were approached by some parlor slaves to give us their master's message, because they had created this sort of polymer chain that sticks up at the head of our states to serve them. And we have come to break the chain, and it's inconceivable for them. They therefore approached us and asked us to join the ranks to form part of the elite who must lead Africa, because they have a trained and formatted elite who must follow, who are embedded in this chain. We refused to join their ranks, and from then on, hostilities began. They have led several mercenaries, trainers, and agents into our areas who have descended into the Sahel to hope to carry out barbaric, cowardly attacks against our populations, to hope to revolt them. In addition to these attacks on the ground, communicational attacks, manipulation, disinformation, etc., are full in their souls. But the people of the Sahel have understood, and we will never be able to manipulate them again. They know where they come from, they know what they are doing, and they know where they are going. We are not going to allow this anymore. People are awake, and people are fighting today, not for ourselves, but for generations to come. And thank you all for the fight that is being fought. It never makes us cry. We are not going to tremble. We will face. We will fight for real independence, for our freedom. Because to scare the people of the AES, these individuals only have 3 terms in their mouths: democracy, freedom, human rights. Of course, their local values are only elected in a democratic process, free and transparent to, according to them, their values. What could be more normal that people want to impose this on us because they are the ones who make the rules, all right? We decided to take responsibility for ourselves. This is why on May 26, 2023, when Niger decided to turn the page, The slaves of Salon and their masters mounted the high horse. They put their local valleys forward and decided to wage war against the Nigerian people. We therefore said, whoever dares to attack Niger, we will face, because we will wage a merciless war until the last drop of blood for anyone who dares to attack our states. This word, this decision that we had yesterday, is relevant today and will be relevant tomorrow and forever. Thus, the AES was born on September 16, 2023, in a mutual defense architecture. But we found it necessary to extend and enlarge the AES architecture. What brings us together today must allow us to move into other areas in addition to defense, notably finance and the economy, infrastructure, health, education. Anyway, so on. I therefore hope that this moment will be a story for us that we will write for the AES, but especially for Africa and for the whole world. May God enlighten each and every one of us. May God inspire us in these tasks entrusted to us, and above all that, when we carry out all our work, may we have only one thing in mind: the supreme interest of our populations. On this, we pray once again to the good God that He accompanies us all in our various tasks, that He protects our fighters who, thanks to them, allow us to sit here and exchange around the future of our states. So be grateful once again, Nigerian people. Be united and united. People of the AES, thanks.
Okay, well, so what really makes Ibrahim Traore stand out, or a gem in African politics and African leadership, is his style of leadership. He is one man that in one of my videos previously, we talked about how to really distinguish a leader from a politician. And Ibrahim Traore clearly just ticks all the boxes, or very many boxes, of a good leader and not a politician. By now, we know that good leaders do not necessarily make good politicians, and good politicians don't make good leaders. Ibrahim Traore is not a populist, and politicians are usually populist. He is going to feed you the naked, raw, and comfortable truth. So in this speech, Ibrahim Traore was making this speech against a backdrop of a time when the ECOWAS, so ECOWAS is the economic bloc of countries in West Africa, were up in arms against the nation of Niger. Niger had, together with Burkina Faso and now Mali, have decided to call quit and call ties with the bloc of ECOWAS, and to come up with a union of Sahel states. And so all of the other member states of the ECOWAS were ready to actually punish Niger, and of course by extension the rest of the countries in the alliance of the Sahel states, that is Burkina Faso and Mali, for their secession, or for breaking off from them and saying, enough is enough. ECOWAS by proxy is an exploitation of the West, and we're not taking it anymore. So he was lecturing African heads of states from the countries that make up the ECOWAS bloc, and of course, by extension, the entire Africa. And when I say Africa, doesn't really just limit to the continent of Africa, but actually, by large, the black culture, the black community, be they in the Americas or in the Caribbeans. What we black people don't actually realize is the white man and the yellow man and everybody else doesn't care whether you're black from Africa, black from America, black from the Caribbean. They do not see the differences as we see. but they have sold the narratives of dividing us to us. So we ourselves as a black culture, let me call it a black culture, so I do not narrow it down. I do not, make it look like it's only about the continent of Africa, have bought the narrative that we are different. We in Africa are different from our black brothers in America, our black brothers in Jamaica and the Caribbeans, and even our black brothers in South America or in Europe and every other part of the world. And those that are in the Caribbean think that they are not so much African. Those that are descendants of slaves from Africa that are in the US think that they are more American than they are African, because it is a narrative that we have been sold to and we have gladly bought. And it is by this tactic, the rule and divide tactic, that the enemy, the nemesis, has succeeded in controlling black culture. So leadership of the black people, be it from the Horn of Africa to the southern Cape of Africa, to North Africa, to the far west coast of Africa, to the Caribbeans, and to the Americas, the leadership of the black people, of the black community, has terribly failed. And in this video, in this speech by Ibrahim Traore, the truth is, the uncomfortable truth is, what we have in place of leadership for the black community is a controlled, are puppets of the West, if I might say, is the West controlling the black community, Africa, by proxy. They install puppets in place of leaders so they can continue to front their interests in our lands. So the problem with Africa is not directly the West. It is indirectly the West, but directly the problem is our leadership, our governance. And I have talked about in my previous videos about the problem with governance with the black community. Once one of our people, once one of us as black people has their hands graced with something, some money, some privileges from the West, then they gladly will sell out and sacrifice all of their brothers. Look at how much people are complaining in Africa about, their leaders being puppets of the West, from south to north, from east to west, to the Caribbeans. Look at Jamaica, for example. Jamaica and the Prime Minister has been in the spotlight time and again, over and over, for being a sellout to the people of Jamaica. That for him, the people of Jamaica are not really his interest. His personal greed is driving him to make alliances, agreements, and coalitions with the United States, at the expense of his people. In Kenya, people have criticized the president, William Ruto, for being a puppet of the West. South Africa, at some point, was Ramaphosa had also come under the same criticism. Nigeria, Ghana, the former leaders of the Caribbean nation of Haiti. You look at all of the African nations, and most of them are controlled, remotely controlled by the West, because the West has been able to manipulate even how we elect our leaders. And so they put for us people that they are able to manipulate, to compromise at the expense of black people, to get what they want from our very rich continent. And now Ibrahim Traore is calling out every of those puppet leaders. And we must all stand together. And that's why I said at the beginning of this video, such leaders like Ibrahim Traore, we as young African people, and young black people, regardless of whether we come from, all these countries that we have in Africa, in the Caribbean, and wherever else, we must protect such leaders with our voices and with our might and everything, at all costs. Because the West is not comfortable with such people. We have had such visionary leaders before, and they have been systematically taken out by the West. Any person that is going to go against the interest of the West is going to be, met with hostility from the West, and they are going to even incite his own people against him. Now it is time for an awoke Africa, or an awoke black community, and we have to realize that nobody really loves you as much as they do say, as much as they tell you. Because if they can incite you against your own brother, and your own brother who is selfishly protecting your interest, then they do not love you. So wake up, African brothers and sisters, black brothers and sisters, and let's really, Ibrahim Traore, in my definition, is the epitome of the young black generation that has really woken up to the truth. And we have to keep the fire burning. We have to fire up this fire, this momentum, and make sure that more leaders like Ibrahim Traore come to the podium, because when we have lone soldiers, then it is easy to take them out. But when we all come together, stop looking at, first debunk the narrative of division. Realize that we are being controlled by divide and rule tactic. So first thing, let's all come together as a black community, wherever we are across the world, be it in Africa, be it in the Caribbean, be it in America, be it in Europe. Let's first come together as a black people. Let's, first put our efforts in one place, because a people that are united cannot be defeated. But once we continue to let the enemy come in our midst, tell us into our ears, whisper to us negative words about our closest, our own brothers, then we're not going to win this fight. We have to debunk the narrative that we are different African states, African people. We're not different. Look, Africa has so much been divided that even a number of African states have usually in the past come out to, want to declare themselves as non-African, and when the enemy sees that, I believe they smile very hard because they succeed. We fight each other. We have small unnecessary conflicts within ourselves. And we never know, we never really get to realize what is the exact beginning of these conflicts. We don't go back into the root cause of these conflicts. Now, and then whenever we have such conflicts, the West is gladly always jumping in. UN peacekeeping missions, loans from the IMF and the World Bank, and I don't know, soldiers and military aid from the international community. But now look, African nations that have had such conflicts, internal conflicts from the past, and that have had the intervention of the so-called international community, what has happened to them? Do they have the peace that we were told the international community through the United Nations is, what really happens. And this is not only an African phenomenon. Look at the Middle East, look at Iraq, look at Iran, look at Afghanistan. The forces of the United States stayed in Afghanistan for 20 years only to leave a country worse than if it even was, only to hand over the country to the Taliban that they were fighting. So there is no peace that they're coming to. There is no peace they're coming to keep to help you regain, because in the first place you had peace. They interfered with the peace, and now they come back with a story and tell you that, you know what, we can help you get peace. There is no way that someone that took away the peace from you is bringing peace back to you. So oftentimes you realize that even when we have conflicts in our countries and they come in the name of to maintain, to restore peace, we never get the peace. Tell me of one African country that they came and they maintained peace and now it's peaceful. None. There is simply no country that they came to maintain any peace whatsoever. If any peace deal has ever been brokered by in any of our nations, is because the people themselves decided that enough is enough. We want to live peacefully, not because they really brokered the peace as they try to. So there is no way we are going to let them meddle in our, in our internal affairs every time. So much so, and for you to know that they really control us, is if someone is really just there to help, then when you tell them, okay, give me space, I want to just gather myself up, and then I will call you to come, and you will mediate. They never want you to do that. They are not really the people. They want to be in the middle of your mediation process. When you tell them, okay, it's enough, no problem, let me sort out myself and then you can come, then they rise up against you. They do. We know of all the stories and everything that they do. So wake up, Black community. Wake up, Black people. Fight for yourselves. Let's come together and make up one huge force of the Black community, of the Black culture. Fight for ourselves, fight for each other before we even invite anyone else to come and fight for you. Please do share your comments of these and your opinions in the comment section below. Share this video and like this video. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please go ahead and subscribe to our channel. So we have come to the end of this video, and until next time, see you in the next video. Peace.